All right, that's 2 after, so I think we'll go ahead and get started. Um, Hello, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Michaela McShane, and it is my privilege to welcome you to the Startup NASA Feature Series. We're looking forward to hearing from Techtonic 3D, and we hope you enjoy their presentation. Before we get started, I'd like to point out that your microphones will be muted throughout this presentation. So if you have any questions, please type them down in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner of your screen, and we'll answer them during the Q&A session at the end of the presentation. This monthly series provides an opportunity for NASA tech-inspired startup companies to share their stories, including how they got involved with NASA and where they are currently in the development of their new product or service. NASA's Technology Transfer Program ensures that innovations developed for exploration and discovery are broadly available to the public, and our Tech Transfer Expansion Program augments that mission to include a focus on entrepreneurial innovation and strategic partnerships to help accelerate commercialization. We invite you to visit the NASA Tech Transfer website for more information on available licensing opportunities and other initiatives, and be sure to stay tuned at the end of the presentation for registration information on upcoming Startup NASA Feature Series events. Thank you for joining us today. This group of entrepreneurs started out with a grant for their NASA tech-based startup from the MIDIC Challenge. Later that year, they participated in a pilot accelerator initiative between NASA T2X and the Tech Center Research Park in Newport News. This group incorporated in January 2022 as Techtonic 3D to provide rapid additive manufacturing solutions enhanced with NASA-developed technology for the consumer 3D printing market and eventually industrial manufacturing market. It is my pleasure to introduce today's speakers, the co-founders of Techtonic 3D. The members of the team include Alexander Lopez, a mechanical engineering student at California State University, Los Angeles, who is the CFO working on the company's financials and developing the 3D printer mechanical properties. Faizan Darsat, a mechanical engineering student at the University of Michigan, focusing on products technology development and ensuring marketing communications as the CPO. Mohammed Pasta, a civil engineering student at the University of California, Berkeley, who is the company's CEO, overseeing future activities and direction. Moises Santander, a pre-engineering and electronics student at El Camino Community College, who serves as the company's COO, overseeing the organizational functions of the business. And Noé Servillon, a pre-engineering and engineering technology major at El Camino Community College, managing the technical and software aspects of the venture as the CTO. And with that, I'd like to welcome the members of Techtonic 3D to share about their story.
Thank you, Michaela. So I guess we can go ahead and begin. Hi, everyone. Like Michaela said, I'm Mohammed Pasta. And first and foremost, I would like to thank everyone for making the time to be here with us today. So we're a group of college students that came together to start a company, Techtonic 3D. It revolves around innovating and improving current 3D printing technology to further implement additive manufacturing into different sectors.
Hello, my name is Faizan, and I was reached out by by my professor in calculus, Susan Taylor, to join a program called NASA Community College Aerospace Scholars, or NCOS. And during the experience, I had the opportunity to visit JPL and build robots. And from there, I was introduced to NASA MidTech. At the time, I was shocked to find out that there had been so many resources hidden for community college students and underserved that I tried to apply myself to where I can. When COVID happened, and I remember not letting the virtual environment stop me, my next venture was to seek out the winners of the last year, who happened to be at, drumroll, El Camino College. After meeting with Professor Ambrosio and working closely with the previous team, we gathered a new set of strong engineering students and went out to compete in MidTech 2020. We worked diligently and persevered through the pandemic, working tirelessly with schoolwork and landing on the NASA IP we are working on today. Our team consists of
Mohammed Pasta. I'm the CEO. I'm currently studying civil engineering at UC Berkeley.
Moises Santander, Chief Operating Officer here. I'm the pre-engineering and electronics major at El Camino Community College in Torrance, California. I have led award-winning robotics teams, have established a makerspace at my college's library with academic deans and faculty, and advocated for students as a senator in student government.
Hello everyone, My name is Alexander Lopez. I am the Chief Financial Officer. I am an undergraduate mechanical engineering student at California State University, Los Angeles. I am a persistent hard worker and I've acquired great problem-solving skills throughout my studies.
Hi, my name is Noah Servillon, Chief Technology Officer. I'm an undergraduate pre-engineering and engineering technologist major at El Camino College. I'm creative, innovative, and adaptive. I have 7 years worth of 3D printing experience, held various leadership positions, and interned and now employed at Northrop Grumman.
Hey everyone again. My name is Faison. I'm the Chief Product Officer. I currently am a junior at University of Michigan studying mechanical engineering. I have previously interned at NASA on the Lofted project and hope to intern at SpaceX. I am currently working on the propulsion of a 21 feet bipropellant rocket with my project team called NASA in Michigan.
So to kind of bounce off of what Faison started us off with, he reached out to Professor Edwin Ambrosio, professor of computer science over at El Camino College, and asked to be connected with the first MIDIC team that was there. And from there, he made contacts with them, and they reached out to some of us, myself and Alex, as we were in a robotics club at El Camino College. Faison also reached out to some of his peers as well, got Pasta on board, and we started forming the team. And by January 2021, I reached out to Noe because I told him we were working on this project as well. I told him that there was a NASA intellectual property, NASA IP, that we chose that would advance motor controller technology. And he said, oh, we can definitely apply this to 3D printers. So we invited Noe on board to our team. And through understanding the NASA IP, that's how we kind of got to be introduced to the NASA Tech Transfer Program and all the portfolios of different NASA IPs. And from there, we were developing that concept paper for the MIDIC competition. We spent like countless hours, countless nights working on that 14-page concept paper, developing that business plan around the 3D printer that we all started envisioning. And after we submitted it in March-ish, we got selected as one of 8 finalists nationwide to present in a virtual immersion experience at NASA Johnson Space Center. And we were awarded $5,000 to help kickstart our business. And that was in 2021. And that kind of terminated around May. And following that, we started looking into different resources on how we can help ourselves out in starting up our business. And we reached out to Christy Funk, and she introduced us to this accelerator program that was over in Virginia Tech. And she told us that they are starting up a business cohort to help students, to help people start up their business and go through this accelerator program and obtain entrepreneurship skills. So we spent a week at Virginia in August of 2021, kind of like a boot camp to getting to know the ins and outs of starting up a business. And from there, we spent the rest of 2021 doing virtual workshops every Saturday morning. And it was really a lot of fun that we did that, because we are a team of engineers. We have little to no experience in business. So going through that Accelerator Network program was really helpful. Just kickstarting it off with MIDIC as well. And now we went into the beginning of this year. We just founded our business at the beginning of this year in January 2022. And currently we are in the process of doing research to start developing a prototype and reamping our business model to see what is it we want to do exactly with our 3D printer. And just a few weeks ago, we actually just got the license approved by NASA to use the intellectual property that we selected 2 years ago.
So here, this is our technology, the persistent low-speed motor controller. The thing that fascinated us about this technology was that it's very high in accuracy and precision, And the precision is so unique is that it's able to be used in like surgical robots, and also the movement is so smooth that there's very little mistakes that it could occur in with the motor controller. So that was one of the key like insights that we thought was really interesting. It was the technology is basically it's a motor controller, very high in speed and accuracy, like I said. And I will leave it off to Moses to explain a little bit more in detail the technology.
Yeah, so definitely the motor controller can help out with a bunch of different functions. It's been used in NASA's um, uh, modular vehicle, and it's all in one of their satellites that they sent up to space as well, in enhancing motor controller movements, making things more precise, more accurate. And this is something that we intend on doing with our 3D printer, is increasing precision and accuracy.
So I worked at a computer programming center called Code Ninjas and tutored students ages 5 to 14 and asked my ex-bosses to create a workshop at the dojo for the students about 3D printing in space. So at the end of the mid-tech, we created flyers, and to our surprise, the flyer took off and had a viewership of over 20,000 people and was booked in the first couple of hours. Our event proved successful, and we taught kids how to use Tinkercad and demonstrated how to print small ninjas to take home. And another surprise was having us featured on Fox 11 the next morning, which was really crazy.
So after the MIDIC competition, we had some trouble figuring out our next steps, especially because our entire team is made up of engineers. So the business side took us some time to understand. However, thanks to Christine Funk from NASA, we got in contact with Jeff Johnson and the Virginia Tech Research Park Business Accelerator Program. This business accelerator was a great experience overall, which was very exciting and educational for us. We had a bunch of individuals from different parts of the US coming together to learn and gain experience to solve global issues. There were even students from other countries participating as well, which was very interesting. So what really happened was, first of all, we built a great community of entrepreneurs, all dedicated to helping one another. First of all, our team was actually the youngest. I'm sorry, the team was actually the youngest there. We were still being like undergraduates. Majority were in graduate school and already starting their own company. So we had little to experience. We had little to no experience compared to everyone else. But the great thing was that everyone was willing to help us. We had people go over our pitch deck, our financials, our marketing plan. They even gave us an idea of how to structure our future plans and goals. Throughout the accelerator program, we had lectures from a wide range of experienced entrepreneurs and business strategies. We talked about different things we never heard of before. Every day was actually a new concept, and every team had to have their pitch decks ready in 1 week. It took a lot of hard work and dedication. However, it was great to communicate with other entrepreneurs and finish the task. We stayed up many late nights trying to finish our pitch, and we ended up being a bit sleep deprived during our pitch. But overall, we built strong connections with one another, and it was a great experience. It really was an opportunity that impacted our lives for the better.
So, our goal as a company is to change the fundamentals of 3D printers by implementing NASA's patented technology. So during the pandemic, we saw many issues being exposed, especially during especially of the global supply chain. We saw that during the pandemic, the specific equipment was needed to save lives, right? There's these ventilator valves. Each ventilator valve cost like $10,000, and it was extremely expensive, and they couldn't get enough of it because of the supply chain being backed up. So a small 3D printing company had designed and printed these ventilator valves for $1 each, compared to the original price tag of $10,000. This was one of the issues. Another issue was the blockage of the Suez Canal, right? Sent another shock throughout the world. And then even currently in the US, with lumber prices rising, the use of concrete in manufacturing houses is increasing. And there are different companies throughout the US that are using um, concrete materials in 3D printers to print houses. So these are all the different use cases of 3D printing that we hope to, further this technology so it's easier and can help solve many of these problems. And hopefully we're able to bring additive manufacturing to these different sectors and different markets.
All right. So through our customer discovery, through TKNP, we interviewed 40 companies in additive manufacturing. What we found were very similar problems within each and every one of them. We can group them up as follows. Some of the problems. Some major trade-offs that customers have with 3D printers is speed, accuracy, and precision. For example, when they want to print faster, the accuracy and precision decreases, resulting in a lower quality print. The next problem is the learning curve for understanding how to maintain mechanical and software aspects of 3D printing. And finally, the lack of accessibility to high-speed printers due to their high costs in the tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, some of the solutions that we came up with, firstly, we plan to solve these problems through combining all three characteristics of speed, accuracy, and precision to address the limitations that customers face. Second is to introduce an interface that will be both user-friendly and easy to learn, cutting time and energy spent to maintain and operate. And lastly is to minimize the cost. Our product, um, our product is a new fused deposition modeling FDM printer that redefines what is possible. This integrated software will create a seamless and user-friendly experience to upload 3D object files to the printer. The next step is printing itself, where the NASA technology will take over and create high-fidelity prototypes in a short amount of time. And lastly, is combining all printed parts to make creations that will inspire the next generation of engineers, medical professionals, and artists. Later down the road, we are going to use another NASA technology to identify defects in metal 3D printing and other additive manufacturing processes.
So in terms of our business plan, our business model is basically to sell, lease, and service 3D printers. We have a huge market of 3D printers being sold all around the world at a value of $13.7 billion in the year 2020. And it has a high compound annual growth rate of 21% expected for the next few years. However, the 3D printers being sold in the consumer market totals $403 million, which is still a really big market. But with that said, we will be going after a small percentage of 0.5% from this market and generate a revenue of $45 million within the next 4 years. Here's our business timeline, which highlights the different stages for the year 2022. For quarter one, we have established our business and started to seek capital by applying to loans, grants. And we also started gathering tools and materials for prototyping. In quarter two, we aim to begin our prototyping phase, create a network, and gain some brand recognition. For quarter three, we aim to complete our first prototype and seek logistic distributors. We would also have our funds secured in order to use them for additional expenses. And finally, in quarter four, our plan is to scale up our production and sell the product to many customers. We'll make contracts and have a plan to promote our product through media, and also hiring key personnel is another objective for the quarter.
So here's our SWOT analysis. Our team's strengths include a strong technical and collaborative attitude. We are already engineering students and continue to work late nights to make sure our dream it turns into a reality. Our dedicated workspace is currently a garage, but hey, some of the greatest ideas have come out of garages. We are also based in Los Angeles, which has plenty of resources and business opportunities to take advantage of, as it is a major supply and manufacturing hub. Continuing on to opportunities, we have the support of our institution when it comes to equipment as well as faculty advisors. We also have potential investors we are currently in talks with who are interested in our technology and our future plans on where we plan to take it. We have a wide range of potential market expansions that give us the flexibility to pivot if it's ever needed. Now to our weaknesses. Electronic hardware development time looks to be our biggest factor as we look into initial designs and take into account current shortages of electronic components. We're addressing this by looking into outsourcing PCB production locally and being vigilant on current shortages during our design process. We are also splitting our time between our business and our education. While this reduces the time directed towards our business, this also increases our knowledge base in which to innovate on. We're also currently working in both Pacific and Eastern time zones, but we have already adapted to working in a hybrid environment to accommodate everyone in our team. Some of the threats we face are established 3D printing companies. While this may be a threat, it's been shown that most of the big players in the market are focused on solidifying their designs rather than innovating future disruptive technologies. Another threat is artificial intelligence, as it inches closer to producing higher quality prints with just software. In our eyes, we could potentially in the future address this by complementing both AI and our technology to further push the boundaries of speed and precision. As we are all familiar with now, the current supply chain shortage is a threat to most businesses that offer a physical product. We are focusing on keeping an eye on the situation by adapting our design to complement what is in more abundant and finding alternatives before the need arises. Adaptability and flexibility are the most important factors in this ever-changing market.
As for our growth plan, so eventually we'll achieve economies of scale, which will help maintain or increase our gross margin. With more price flexibility, our product will be more competitively priced, hoping we can then increase sales with customers. With this, the funding to R&D department will also allow us to improve and address any issues with our existing 3D printers. We will also develop new technologies and increase our product line to achieve one of our main goals, which is to enter different markets such as the industry and manufacturing, ed tech, and even the medical field. We will work towards gaining brand recognition and approval from established organizations, various engineering societies, reviewers, and other social media influencers. But we also hope to, complete our first prototype. We recently got informed that our NASA startup license was just approved, so we expect to start prototyping very soon. Once the prototype is complete, we'll begin researching for different manufacturers and hopefully find different partners, which we will then manufacture the motor drivers used in 3D printers. So what we plan to do is to modify each of the drivers based on the need and specification of different companies, so that they can implement our technology into their printers. So this will also allow us to enter different markets. But yeah, that's our growth.
Market expansion. The NASA IP we have chosen not only will provide us with the means of improving current 3D printing technology, but it also allows us to expand to many others. With this motor controller tech, we can branch out to unmanned systems, robotics, medical devices, and precision manufacturing. Potentially, we can improve drone control mechanisms and improve efficiency. In robotics, we can reduce the sophistication of current driver technology used. In medical devices, we can deliver precision amounts of medication or fluids and dive into surgical robotics. And in precision manufacturing, we can expand past 3D printers and go into computer numerical control systems to improve on tighter tolerances. Another possibility we're looking into is further expansion to precision measurement devices and driving down the cost of existing and already expensive equipment. This flexibility gives us the ability to easily pivot while retaining a lot of our existing research. If times get tough, this flexibility will allow us to stay competitive in an ever-changing market.
To advance our company endeavors, we're seeking to secure a total of $348,000. $80,000 would go towards purchasing raw materials, equipment, and software to advance our prototype 3D printer. Then, $220,000 would go towards hiring an engineer to assist us in 1, product design and development, and 2, verification of quality standards. The remaining $40,000 would be used to cover rent and utilities of industrial space following the prototyping phase of our company. And in closing, Techtonic 3D aims to provide rapid additive manufacturing solutions, beginning with a fast and high-quality 3D printer that is both cost-efficient and easy to use. Our product, equipped with NASA technology, offers the precision and accuracy of a surgical robot at various speeds. Because our competitors have not fully achieved this, we would be disrupting the 3D printer market and anticipate lucrative results from taking on this venture. In fact, we have already begun to do so by gathering the interest of multiple companies in our product. With time, we will expand our product line and services to enter markets beyond consumer 3D printers, to reach more customers and widen the accessibility of 3D printers. Join us in our journey as we shake up the industry, one print at a time.
All
Thank you,
right.
everyone, once again for joining us today. And we want to thank NASA, Michaela, and the cohort for giving us the opportunity and sharing our story with you. Thank you. And now we can answer any questions you may have.
Thank you all. Yeah, we've received a number of questions in the chat box, so thank you everyone who sent those in, and please feel free to continue to submit them while we go through this Q&A, and we'll get to as many as we have time for. I'm going to go ahead and read the first one out to you all, and whoever wants to answer, go right ahead. How did you come up with your business timeline?
Oh, I could probably answer this one. With our business timeline, we were very conservative with how we spread things out because again, we're still students, so we're still taking our time with our education as well as focusing on our business and other activities in our current lifestyle that we're keeping. So we wanted to balance this out because we don't want to hire the engineers straight off the bat, like we mentioned in our funding part, because we could do a lot of the initial stuff ourselves. It's mostly the engineers. It's just like more during the end part of the research of development. Because during the ending parts is where we want to make sure we're following the standards like set by, for example, like IEEE, or set up by other electronic standards that maybe we're not familiar with since we're still engineering students and are not yet in the professional environment. And that's why we kind of set the way how we set it now. And we are a little, to be honest, we are a little bit delayed in our current timeline because the timeline was set for this year, but we're planning on ramping it up as soon as the summer session kind of begins because we're finally free from our finals. So we can now fully dedicate a lot of our time to all the prototyping, building out and expanding our network further than what it already is established at, and especially creating our media presence.
Great, thank you.
And I also just wanted to add on, sorry, Michaela,
Okay.
that in our business timeline here, we have it and that in Q2 we'll begin our prototyping phase. However, we haven't gotten to agree on the contract from NASA with the technology up to a couple of days ago. So now we will actually begin the prototyping phase. So there was a time delay there as well. Just wanted to point that out there.
Thank you all. How did your experience with MIDIC help prepare you to start your own company?
I can answer this one. MidTech really shaped gave us the experience of working virtually. everything from pre-COVID to during, and then once COVID hit, and everyone having that challenge of working virtually, we actually had already been doing that. And so that transition and experience from MidTech and working on concept papers and developing business models from there and developing a lot of the foundations of what we're trying to work on really gave us the experience and jump to this point. So yeah.
And adding on to what Faison said, we really worked on getting each other coordinated on different time zones as well. Because there was a point where I think Faison and Pasta were also stuck back in the middle in Pakistan, right? And you guys had a time difference of like about 10 hours, I think, and we had to meet up to wrap up that concept paper, that 14-page concept paper, and we were like scrambling. Okay, what time are we gonna meet? So that MIDIC experience really helped us out in just learning how to navigate our resources online, learning how to coordinate with each other in different time zones, and through developing that concept paper as well, we started getting our feet wet with different business concepts. Because at first, the team, we were under the impression that, oh, it's probably going to be like a good amount of emphasis on the technological aspects of the idea that we're going to develop. But no, as we read through the guideline and rubrics of the MIDIC competition and its requirements, we actually found out that it was a lot more business focused, business emphasized, and we were to develop a business plan around the idea that we were coming up with. So we started doing like different research, getting introduced to these different concepts, and that MIDIC experience really helped us out with getting introduced to the business world.
Awesome. Thank you all. What has your experience with various mentors been through MIDIC, the Tech Center program, any external mentorship you might have, or plans to seek additional mentorship?
I just want to shout out to Jeff Johnson and Dr. Oliver and TKMP for really giving a lot of those phrases and quotes that I continuously use day to day. Like investors bet on the jockey, not the horse. I love that one. I use that a lot. Anyone else want to talk about and shout out anybody?
I think Professor Edwin Ambrosio really helped us out in the beginning. Getting us started, helping us process through MIDIC because he had MIDIC experience, so he kind of showed us how to get things done. Yeah, and Christy really helped us out as well. Just everyone at NASA and the Tech Center Research Park really helped us as well.
Then I also want to just give a quick shout out to Professor Zahedi from El Camino College. He's a electronics instructor. He's really helped me out with understanding a lot of the digital logic systems, and even introduced us to VHDL and further programming for FPGA systems. And I think that's a unique experience because I think you're only exposed to that once you're at the graduate level, and he's exposing us even at the community college level. That's pretty much unheard of. So that's definitely gonna give us an edge, and I'm hoping he's from my understanding and talks with him, he's definitely gonna be willing to help us out in the future. So I want to thank him for that.
Awesome. Thank you all. So kind of pivoting off of that, you talked about your experience with these various programs that you worked through and the licensing with NASA Tech. What advice would you offer to similar early stage entrepreneurs who may be starting out with a tech-based startup?
Having established a company is probably your biggest hurdle and probably the reason why we took so long. And without the pipeline of TKNP, I think it would have been very difficult to quote unquote make an LLC without any foundational experience with businesses. And registering and licensing an LLC can be pretty cumbersome. even though there's like a small, entry point in order to like establish the LLC, like maybe a couple $100 or, but getting the paperwork through, which, Dr. Oliver took care of us, which is really, really exciting. And they took care of that through TKNP and helped us establish the LLC. And then you can actually get the license from NASA, which is why we took so long. And it's a big deal to go through that pipeline and have someone to support you through the business side, because it is equally as important as the engineering side.
Yeah, definitely having like mentors or people who have gone through this before is extremely helpful and beneficial. Um, like we said, we had little to no experience in registering a company or, applying for licenses or any of that. But having someone, having a mentor or having like a cohort help you through these, right? Like how the cohort like went over our financials, our pitch deck, all of this really helped us out and like will help us now even more when we're going to pitch to investors, when we're talking to potential partners, right? Having this ready really helped us. Going through the pipeline really helped us, and having mentors. Yeah.
And for me personally, I believe that one has to go out and explore. You have to not be too reserved. You have to look for opportunities and go out and talk to people, see what they have to offer, see what programs maybe your school offers, stuff like that. Because that was my experience. After I got into MIDIC, it really changed my mindset and how I view on starting a business. And then joining a business accelerator program is crucial. I believe that is one of the main programs that will help you for anyone who wants to start a company, be their own CEO, explore new areas, communicate and get entrepreneurial skills. That's one of the best options to go with.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to also throw in as well, have a clear idea of what is it you want to do, because kind of like the biggest struggle that our team had at the beginning as well is not having too much of a clear idea of what is it we want to take, what direction we want to take with our business. But once we met up and we hashed out everything, what is it we want to do, what we envision ourselves doing in the next 5-10 years, um, that really helped us out in setting the track and the path for what is it we're going to be doing each step of the way. So if you're going to be starting up a business with peers, I definitely recommend all the advice that my teammates said, but also have like a clear mindset, clear goal of what is it you're going to be do to go after it and communicate with your teammates, anybody who you're starting off your business with. Um, that way you don't just go and not know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm. Great. So you all mentioned in the presentation that you're going to initially focus on the consumer market rather than industrial. Can you talk a little bit about what differentiates your consumer 3D printer from those that are already on the market, and what kind of price point consumers would be looking at once you begin to sell product?
I can answer this one. What differentiates our tech and our printer compared to other 3D printers that currently standardize in the market is that you kind of just see the same design over and over and over again, like kind of like the Ender 3 kind of bed slinger kind of style. While we're looking more towards the Core XY design, that's seen to be as a super rigid uh, and very sturdy design where we could get high producibility results from our prints, and that's just the design itself. That's not even including the technology. Once we implement our own technology onto there, that extremely it extremely expands on the accuracy of it, the speed of it. Current anything on the market right now, we could probably double some of the print times the current 3D printer markets, like from some of our competitors. I don't want to directly name any of our competitors, but I strongly believe we could hit the market somewhere between the price range of depending on our supply chain situation and current inflations, we could probably aim for the price point around at the low end, maybe around 600, high end, probably about one and a half, $1,500, somewhere around that price point. But again, it's as we establish our connections with suppliers and all that, the further connections we have, we could probably drive that price down even further, so we could match what our competitors are offering, at least price wise, while still beating them compared to everything speed wise and quality wise with everything else.
Thank you. Okay, so I know most, if not all of you, are still students and pursuing your education, and some of you may be working in addition to that. What do you think there is a point in the near-ish future when you might be doing this full time and pursuing this company as your main endeavor?
I'm
I
sorry.
think we actually talked this over. Majority of us decided that we could probably go full time probably after we graduate. I think
Mhm.
for me at least, I have a year of school left, so probably after that I can hop on this full time.
Same here.
Okay, thank you. I think we have time for one or two more questions. Can you talk a little bit about the licensing process and how, the steps you went through to obtain your startup license, and just any advice for someone who's doing something similar?
Um, I can answer this one. So through the licensing through NASA or licensing as in the business side?
Licensing through NASA, but you can also talk about your experience going through it as a business.
All right. So I kind of like reiterate, I'm just gonna reiterate a little bit of what I had said earlier was that like, in order to get a NASA license, you need to be an established company. So after that LLC hurdle or any type of company that you create, once you're through with that, you have to create, you have to talk to the you have to talk to Christy and you have to talk to someone who is at the centers. I believe it's like, I don't remember the name of the title of the person, but it's like someone who holds all the patents for that particular center. And through that communication, they will write up a certain types of licenses. The most common one is a startup license. And through that whole process, you sign the paper, and after they have approved of what you're trying to do, you get the license.
So yeah, they had multiple licenses available, right? Like different types of licenses. So we went with the startup license, at least in the beginning. Um, but then there are more exclusive licenses, but that requires more in-depth analysis of the reasoning we are licensing the technology and the growth plan and everything. So as of now, we just we went with the startup license, and that took some time just because, like Faison said, we had to first register the company, then go over the contract and the agreement with NASA, make sure there was no there was nothing wrong, or from both parties agreed on the contract, and then getting it approved finally. But yeah, that just took the most amount of time.
And I'd also like to throw in communication is key, because this is definitely a process, and like my peers have said, Faison and Pasta, it's a lot of paperwork. It's a lot of paperwork that you got to go through, and sometimes you may not get a response in about a week, or maybe even two. So don't be afraid to follow up, to see how everything is going, and things take time. So be patient and just make sure you're constantly communicating.
All right. Thank you all so much. I think that's all the time we have for questions, but I want to thank you all for taking the time to do this with us. I know it is an incredibly challenging undertaking to take a technology originally developed for space and find a new use case for it and then start a company while you're still in school. It's very admirable. And as I said at the beginning, please feel free to visit the Tech Transfer website for more information about licensing NASA-developed technology for a startup or an existing business. And feel free to reach out to the members of Techtonic 3D at their emails that are here on the screen. And this webinar will be recorded and posted on our YouTube in just a couple of days. So if we didn't get to your question, we'll reach out to you by email by the end of the week. And yeah, thank you all for coming. This has been a really, really enjoyable presentation.
Thank you for having us. Really
Awesome.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Much
Okay.
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.